Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the final episode here on Beef Up Front of our pre-NCAA tournament coverage. And then obviously next week we'll recap all the games that happened last week, the major news, the Cinderella teams, the players that have made a name for themselves, and then preview the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. But we've done the top 10 games to watch. We've broken down the entire bracket. We've done region by region previews. And tonight's final episode, we have 20 players to watch for the March Madness tournament. I went through each of the four regions, and I gave 5 players from each region to keep an eye out for. Some you might have heard of, but others are for college basketball fans that are more so casuals that don't really partake that much until the games matter more here in March. These are some guys that you may have never heard of, or even some of these players from these teams. Like I have a player from a Kentucky, a Texas A&M that you might have seen throughout the year, checked in on, but I think that they're going to make a major name for themselves, and probably you should be keeping a close eye on these guys. I don't have the All-Americans like a Dalton Connect, the Tennessee, a Zach Edey at Purdue, a Hunter Dickinson at Kansas, a Kyle Filipowski at Duke, guys like that where most people recognize that face and that name. So these are some of probably 20 under-the-radar players that you should be keeping an eye out for, and I think have a chance to make some real noise here in March. So we're going to start in the East region, and we're going to start with a player from Drake, the number 10 overall seed in the region, Tucker DeVries. Drake won 10 of 11 to end the season. I think they have a real chance to knock off Washington State and Iowa State and be a Sweet 16 team. The Bulldogs were 17-2, and Tucker DeVries scored 20 or more points. He's an awesome player, averaged 21.8 points per game. That was 6th in the country this year. He had 13 games with 25 or more points coming out of the Missouri Valley Conference. 6.8 rebounds per game, too. He's a pretty good all-around player, shot at 36.4% from three, and he can score at all three levels. Like, they give him the ball in that mid-post area. He can go to work on ISOs. He can get to the hoop. He can shoot the three ball. Just a super fun player to watch, and a guy I think that is just tailor-made for March and making a major name for himself. So look for Drake as a double-digit seed to make a run to the second weekend, I think, and DeVries is going to be the major reason why. Second player to watch for in the East region, we're going to go with John L. Davis. You probably recognize that name last year from Florida Atlantic. They're back in the tournament this year as an 8 seed playing Northwestern in the first round, and if they win that 8-9 matchup, most likely going to be playing UConn in the second round, the 1 seed. The Owls this year went 9-3 when Davis scored 20 or more points. He averaged 18.2 points per game this year, and he shoots it from 42.5% from three. Not just off the catch, but really effective player. Go watch some of his highlights. Shooting the ball off the bounce from three as well. A 6'4" wing, push comes to shove, they're going to give him the ball and let him go to work. He averaged 15 a game during their March Madness run last year as well. Just an overall awesome player. Third one, not a high-scoring guy, but just a fun basketball player to watch. That's Ali Khalifa, BYU, the 6th seed in this region. He's a 6'11", 200-pound center, originally from Egypt, and he plays that point forward, point center type role, kind of like Jokic does for the Nuggets in the NBA, where he initiates offense from the perimeter, whether he's hitting guys on flare screens for corner threes, he's passing the guys for backdoor cuts, over-the-top lobs. He's just a really fun, aesthetically kind of pleasing player to watch play basketball. Averages 4.1 assists per game for a big man in college. That's pretty awesome. Doesn't shoot it much, only averages 5.9 points per game. But just from a pure basketball perspective, he's a really nice watch and someone that I think is going to attract a lot of eyes this March. Boo Buie, the 9 seed Northwestern Wildcats, one of my favorite players in college basketball, just an elite scorer, 19.2 points per game, 44.3% from three. That was a career best this year. He really improved his three-point shooting, and 5.1 assists per game too. A total all-around player. If I had to go put money on it, he's like the highest usage player, I'd say, in the entire tournament. Northwestern just relies on him so much. 8 of his last 9 games, he played at least 37 minutes. So it's a guy that doesn't really come out. Northwestern relies on him so much. He's averaging 21 points over his last 5 games, including a 23, a 27, and a 29 point performance over that span. And then the last guy, it's a 16 seed, so we're probably only going to see him for 1 game, but I think he might be able to give us at least a little bit of an entertaining first half for this Stetson versus UConn game, and that's Jalen Blackman from Stetson, the 16 seed. Averaged 21.5 points per game this year, which was 10th best in the nation. He went for 43 in the conference championship to get Stetson into the NCAA tournament. Just a pure scorer. And like I said, maybe he can go out, start the game off hot, give us like a 15-15 game, 10 minutes through against UConn, and just provide like a fun, entertaining first half and have people starting to say, ooh, what's going on with the UConn game? Blackman's the type of guy that can do that. He's not going to shy away from shooting the ball either. Wouldn't be surprised if he goes out there and shoots it 20 to 25 times. UConn's going to do everything they can just to get the ball out of his hands, but I think he's going to get his shots up. Just be a fun player to watch. So out of the East region, Tucker DeVries from Drake, John L. Davis from FAU, Ali Khalifa from BYU, Boo Buie from Northwestern, and Jalen Blackman from Stetson. Now we go to the West. Jalen House from New Mexico, the 11 seed, 16.1 points per game, 3.5 assists per game, and 3.6 rebounds per game. A really good all-around guard. He's got 9 games this year with 20 or more points. 6-foot guard, a little bit undersized there. But he averaged 23 points per game in the Mountain West tournament, and he's one of those ultimate shit talker type of players too. He'll get in your face. He'll play defense. He'll get the crowd into it. And New Mexico as an 11 seed is gaining a lot of traction as a team potentially that could make a run in this tournament, get to the second weekend. He could become an instant kind of crowd favorite. We go to Mississippi State, the 8 seed. I'm going with freshman guard Josh Hubbard there. 17.1 points per game, 35.8% from 3. And he had 13 games of 20-plus as a 5'10 freshman, another undersized player. He's just got that dynamite kind of X factor to him. Averaging 25 points per game over his last 8 games too. Player that has really just gotten better and improved throughout the season. A huge opportunity against a Michigan State duo that I'm sure everyone all week has been saying that the guards at Michigan State are better than Mississippi State. He's a player that plays with that feistiness and something to prove. I think he's going to have a great tournament. I'm expecting them to beat Michigan State in the first round. Third player, Tyon Grant Foster out of Grand Canyon, a 12 seed. Great comeback story. Had a heart issue earlier in his college career, almost died. Probably was never going to play college basketball or basketball again. Able to come back healthy. He wins the WAC Player of the Year at Grand Canyon. A 6'7" wing. He averaged 19.8 points per game this year. Has scored in double figures in 30 of 32 games this year. And he's averaging 24.5 points per game over his last 4. He's been playing super well down the stretch to help get Grand Canyon into the tournament. He's hit at least 3 threes in 5 different games this year too. So a player mostly known for his athleticism and ability to get to the cup, but he can shoot the 3 ball a little bit well too. And he plays a really good defense in St. Mary's. So it's going to be interesting to watch him and see how he navigates their defensive game plan. Sticking in that Grand Canyon versus St. Mary's game, we're going to the St. Mary's side now with Aiden Mahaney, St. Mary's point guard. He's the 5 seed coming into this tournament. That St. Mary's Gales team, a sophomore guard. He's averaged throughout his first 2 years in college exactly 13.9 points per game in each of his first 2 years. He's just the leader of the team, runs the offense. I think basketball purists will just really appreciate him and watching him play. If they're able to get past Grand Canyon, he'll probably have to make some key plays to outduel Tyon Grant Foster down the stretch. But this is a solid St. Mary's squad. Started 3-5, and they made a really nice run here. Flipped the script on their season, sitting here as a 5 seed. Won the West Coast regular season and tournament title. Just a very good overall basketball player. Looking forward to watching him this March. And then our last player out of the West region, we're going to Clemson, who's the 6th seed. Ian Shefflin, 6'8", 280-pound forward, averaged 9 points and 9 rebounds per game. Just the ultimate hustler, competitor. He's the guy when you turn on the Clemson game, he's like the first player you notice, just all over the place. He's got some skill too. He's not just a player that's a gritty kind of role player, glue guy for a team. He's got some skill to him too. If he's a player where if you have Clemson in your bracket or you bet on Clemson and you're rooting for them, you're going to love him. But if you have New Mexico or you're a New Mexico fan, you're going to hate him. He's one of those type of guys where you want him on your team, but when he's on another team, you really hate him the way he kind of plays. He takes charges, he plays hard, just does a little bit of everything. So he's a guy that won't get the most credit for his production in the scoring column, but averages almost a double-double. Just a really awesome college basketball player to watch. All right, we go to the South region now. We're going with, I think, my favorite overall player in college basketball from the past few years. He's my favorite player this year. I just love watching this Texas A&M team play. That's Wade Taylor, the 4th. Texas A&M, the 9 seed in the South region. He always just provides an entertaining product, whether he plays good or bad. He's always out there trying hard, and he's just an entertaining guy because he's a player, too, where If he misses his first 10 shots from three, he'll keep shooting. He's just an awesome watch. And when he's hot, he's as good as any guard in the country. Averages 18.9 points per game, 4 assists per game, averaged 27 points per game in their 3 games in the SEC tournament. And he has 8 games of 25 or more points. I think Kentucky is going to be a surprise team. Texas A&M, I think, is going to be a surprise team in the bracket. And if they are, it's going to be on the shoulders of a guy like Wade Taylor, and he's going to be able to carry them. They'll go as far as he takes them if he gets a little bit of support from some of his teammates as well. But he has the ability to really take over games and make some noise for this A&M squad. This guy is probably the most notable on this list. He's had a great freshman year, but coming into the year, he was like Kentucky's like 4th or 5th best recruit. He wasn't even expected to be one of their top guys, but here we are, Reed Sheppard of Kentucky. They're the 3 seed in this region. Most people know him, like I said, but I think he's going to make a major name for himself this March, and he takes Kentucky to the Final Four is my prediction. Shoots a 52% from 3 on about 4 attempts per game. That's insane efficiency there. 12.8 points per game, 4.5 assists per game, and 4.3 rebounds per game. Another guy that doesn't just score the ball, does a little bit of everything at the guard spot there for Kentucky. His name's being floated as a top 5 pick. He definitely can cement that status with a strong March run here. And a cool story with Reed Sheppard. His dad, Jeff Sheppard, the 1998 most outstanding player of the Final Four at Kentucky. His mom is a Kentucky's women's legend as well. Either has the most steals or assists all time for the women's program. Reed Sheppard gets the chance to cement his legacy as a Kentucky legend as well if he takes his team to the Final Four. He's a guy primed for a March run in my eyes. 3 more players here in this region. First or third one that we're going to touch on, Keisei Tominaga, Nebraska, 8th seed. Some people on Twitter, social media call him the Asian Steph Curry. 14.9 points per game, 37.2% from 3. One of the just overall best shooters, if not the best shooter in the tournament. And it's got that parking lot ability to just pull up from just about anywhere, even outside the gym, and nail threes. Has 14 games this year with at least 3 threes. And Nebraska was 11-2 this year when he hit 3 or more threes in a game. Just has that spontaneous kind of energy to him and ability to get his team into it. When he's hitting threes, his team is playing well and performing well. Just a super fun guy, and I could see him getting hot and having like an Andrew Funk type performance from last year in the NCAA tournament, and potentially even carrying his team to a victory over that Texas A&M squad that I'm super high on. 4th guy, we're going to DJ Burns out of NC State, the 11th seed. He came into the limelight a little bit last week. I loved him last year when I first watched him when he was a transfer from Winthrop, but he got a lot of attention last week on NC State's Cinderella run in winning the ACC tournament. But my guy Terrence Oglesby calls him the refrigerator with ballerina feet, and I don't think there's a better way to put it. Center, he's probably about 300 pounds, 6'10". He's just a load in the paint, but he's got skill. He's got some speed on the block when he's doing his moves. Just a super fun guy and a real charismatic guy too, like someone that's easy to root for. If you're watching that NC State versus Texas Tech game, he's not going to be a guy that's hard to miss when you're looking for him, but you're just going to notice him pretty much every possession down. He plays super hard, especially at his size. Just a super fun college basketball player to watch. One of my favorite guys in all of college basketball. And then our 5th guy we're looking for in the South region, we're looking at Walter Clayton Jr. out of Florida, 7th seed. Transfer from Iona last year, so he's a guy that has some tournament experience under his name. Gators are 17-5 when Clayton scores 15 or more points. He's like a 6'2", 6'3" guard. And he's got 14 outings of 20 or more points. Can get to the cup, can really shoot the 3 ball well. This Florida team has the core of guards that they're really built around. They just lost a backup big man this week that could hurt their front court, but Tyrese Samuel, another nice player there in the front court. A team that has the guards to make a tournament run, and they've been playing pretty well over the second half of the year, 14-4 to end the season. Walter Clayton Jr. is another guy that can make a pretty historic March run, I think, for Florida as a 7th seed. In our last region to hit on for guys to watch, we go to the Midwest region. Michi Johnson out of South Carolina, 6th seed here. 13.8 points per game, only shoots about 33% from 3, so he's not a great shooter, but he's really good at getting to the hoop, and he can score in bunches too. A player that wouldn't surprise me, 3-4 possessions down in a row. He's able to beat his guy off the bounce and get to the cup in routes like a comeback effort or something. 16 games this year, 15 or more, a great ball handler, just a fun basketball player to watch. Kind of has that street kind of vibe to him where he's able to cross guys up, make some flashy plays. just a pure hooper and just a real fun guy to watch play basketball. Second guy, Shahada Wells out of McNeese State, 12 seed. I have this team going to the Sweet 16, so you might get to know him a little bit more, knocking off both Gonzaga and Kansas. 17.8 points per game, TCU transfer, 40.2% from three on the year, 47% from the field, 4.5 rebounds, 4.8 assists, and 3 steals per game. That is a pretty insane number there. He plays for McNeese State defense that causes a lot of turnovers and one of the elite defenses in the country. I'm calling it now with an upset, McNeese State over Gonzaga, and then once again, most likely beating Kansas or then Samford potentially there. And as I said, he's a TCU transfer, so he's like a big-time talent. He's played at the higher level before. He's a March type of guy, especially as a 12 seed. I think he's got that takeover ability. Third guy, Akor out of Samford, the 13 seed here. Right before I started recording this, Kevin McCullough got ruled out for Kansas. So this Samford team might even move on and win a game here in the NCAA tournament. But a 6'9" forward, averages 15.8 points per game, 44.6% from three. Only shoots about two attempts per game, but still, that's a really nice percentage there. But really efficient from the field, too. 59% from the field, 6.1 rebounds, 1.8 blocks, and a super good athlete. Runs the floor really well, and this is a fun Samford team that presses a lot, likes to get up and down, shoot a lot of threes. He's the main guy for them, and he's the guy that makes them go. Fourth guy, Max Asmus, a tournament hero from a few years ago with Oral Roberts. He's a transfer now at Texas. They're a 7 seed, a March hero of the past. You know him from Oral Roberts. Can go off for 25 on any given night, and he can shoot it from deep. Wouldn't be surprised if he puts this team on his back and carries them to a few wins, because he was able to do it with a banner there at Oral Roberts. Now he has a much more talented team around him in Texas. I think he has the potential to go on another March run and make some noise for this Texas team. And then our last guy to keep an eye out for, we're going with Graham Ike, the Gonzaga big man. They're a 5 seed. He's a transfer from Wyoming, one of the best transfers from last year, and he's been playing super well down the stretch. Not the flashiest player. DJ Burns is on this list. He's not the flashiest player either, but just a fun player to watch just because of how he looks and his body type. Graham Ike is more of like a stiff big man, but he's just a good basketball player. And if you appreciate low post play, he's the guy for you. 16.5 points per game, 7.2 rebounds per game. And he recently had a 3-game stretch over the last 5 games. He had a 3-game stretch where he had 26, 26, and 24 points. Just an old school fundamental big man. And Gonzaga runs some really nice offense, some really good plays. They get him a lot of good looks down on the block. Similar kind of playing in like that Drew Timme role that he was so dominant in for all those years. So once again, out of the East, look for Tucker DeVries, John L. Davis, Ali Khalifa, Boo Buie, and Jalen Blackman. In the West, Jalen House, Josh Hubbard, Tyon Grant Foster, Ada Mahaney, Ian Shefflin. In the South, Wade Taylor, Reed Sheppard, Keisei Tominaga, DJ Burns, and Walter Clayton Jr. And in the Midwest, Michi Johnson, Shahada Wells, Akor, Max Asmus, and Graham Ike. That is it for me for our pre-tournament coverage here from Beef Up Front on all things March Madness. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you haven't already, we did the top 10 games to watch in the first round, entire breakdown of the East, Midwest, West, and South region, as well as going through an entire bracket with a three-guest panel, breaking down every single possible game and going on picking the Final Four and the national champion. So a lot of coverage here. Going to have you covered next week as well. And just make sure to tune in, like, subscribe, share all these videos if you can, if you like them. Wednesday, tomorrow, catch up on all your stuff, and then Thursday and even Friday, tune into these. They'll be helpful for both days of the tournament. I promise you that. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please like, subscribe, and we'll talk next week.